the data space protocol version 1, and this needs to become a global standard. So therefore, we need to really reach out massively to everyone out there. And that is why we have chosen to extend our ecosystem, or to take a lot of attempts to extend our ecosystem, and the open month is one important element. So those who are new on Mondays and those who are not member of IDSA and not familiar with the ecosystem, great to have you here. Great that you made it, that you found this important spot of inspiration in the data spaces world. Great to have you here. Today, we want to give you an overview about like the reference pieces that we have in IDSA to shape the foundation for data spaces. And that is what my colleagues, but also members of ours, will show you in the next hour. My job is to welcome you, to lead a Q&A session later on, so that you also can have your say, and to give you a short overview and introduction of what IDSA is doing. Well, we are here to shed a light on data spaces. We are doing that since over 8 years. And why do we need that? Well, because value creation happens more and more in ecosystems, and these ecosystems are very dynamic, volatile, and more open. So we cannot assume that each partner knows each other. There is no central instance that dictates the rules. It is really a peer-to-peer open network of more and more unknown participants. So how can we add trust to these decentralized, maybe federated, peer-to-peer dynamic data ecosystems where data sharing and value creation, which is the most important thing, happen in many-to-many manner? Well, that is exactly what data spaces provide. A data space is essentially the sum of all endpoints that can share data with each other. And if we really want to make AI and all the great things of data economy happen, we need to enlarge that number of available data endpoints massively. Most of the data, like something like 98%, is currently not shared. It's still buried in the basements of companies and organizations of any kind, not to speak about individuals, right? So there's a lot of potential. And therefore, we can only leverage this potential if we really make sure that we have trusted participants, that we really can provide data sovereignty and data traceability along a secure end-to-end data supply chain with data provenance tracking, very clear contracts. And well, the foundation for that is interoperability. We also want to have no silos per domain or per country or whatever. We need to make or enable data sharing across domains, across countries, across continents. And we do not want to have vendor dependency on any software or platform solutions. So that is the idea of data spaces. And a lot of, well, other organizations and standard setting bodies have also joined us in singing that tune. So no physical data integration, leave the data where it is. Let's make sure that we have a soft infrastructure that is trustworthy by design, like the GSM for mobile telecommunication. That is the idea of data spaces. We have 164, obviously, members, a lot of people from these members contributing. That is why we are reaching out to all of you. We do not only need the organizations, we also need the helping hands. We have a lot of things that we are working on. We want and we need to really make that vision happen that I just mentioned, all hands in all countries, because, well, data sharing does not stop at borders. The Monday morning call is a source of inspiration. This is, well, on the road since 5 years, which is really incredible. We had more than 200 ecosystem building calls. And each week you will get insights in what is happening in our ecosystem from other organizations, companies, projects, whatever. So therefore, stay tuned and join us as network, as ecosystem, and become a member, join that club. And those who are already a member, please see if in your organization you find some helping hands in co-creating the reference architecture model, the rulebook, or the other great assets. And I'm not the best person to talk about the reference pieces that we have in IDSA, which are the reference architecture model and the rulebook, so to say, well, the Bible. But my dear colleagues, Ilknur Chulani and Sebastian Steinbuss from the tech team, they know much better. And therefore, I hand over to you. Great to see you, great to have you, and the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Lars. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. Lars, I will share my own slides if you don't mind. So let me briefly switch. So I hope you can see my screen, my slides right now. In best case, perfect. Nothing had changed. So let me briefly introduce myself. So my name is Sebastian Steinbuss, CTO of International Data Spaces Association, and my role in this association is well to support all of you, all of our members in creating those real core assets inside our working groups. So that's not my main job. I don't do all the work on my own. I just support you, all of our members, to come up with our great assets. So if you want to have more details on our assets that we have, especially the rulebook, we will have a webinar later this week where we will present the IDSA rulebook in more detail than I can do today in this meeting. So Marco Turpeinen from 1001 Lakes, he is one of the co-chairs of our working group rulebook, will present the rulebook in detail. And I will moderate and support him in the presentation then. So if you want to know more, join us this Thursday from 10 to 11 CEST. So, but Lars already briefly mentioned that we have those core assets in our hands, and our core assets, those are basically the rulebook. That gives an overview on what a data space is, what the structure is. We have the reference architecture model providing technical specification, a good guidance to build data spaces and to join data spaces. But when we provide some technical specifications, some guidelines, you want to check if one of those parties, and as Lars mentioned, you may not know them before, is compliant to that one with regards to interoperability, but maybe also with regards to trustworthiness. And this is why we have a certification scheme that provides some good insights and some clear claims if you're compliant to those rules and not. And then, of course, there are some compliant building blocks, and that's not what we are doing in IDSA. So IDSA is not providing code, but we have members and non-members providing open source and also closed source solutions that help you to build and to join data spaces. So then the question is, what is our job in IDSA? We maintain and develop all those core assets, and it's our job to keep them consistent with each other. So every time we develop something in one of our core documents, we have to assure that all the other assets follows and are still compliant and consistent with all the other items. And well, that's what is done in our working groups. I would like to briefly go to the rulebook. So what is a rulebook? The rulebook is always a good starting point when you're stepping into the field of data spaces. It is structured in various chapters. It starts with some guiding principles this analyzes on what is a data space, what is the business rationale behind this, what is the legal, the operational perspectives, and also the functional and technical requirements inside a data space. And therefore, following from those guiding principles, we describe the function requirements to a data space. So what are really the core aspects of a data space, where you want to connect with each other, where you want to share data with each other under a clear and given governance scheme. And we define some core concepts also in the rulebook, like what is a data space governance authority? How do you manage a data space in the end? And what is the common agreement that you want to have in the data space? And how those data spaces could connect to each other. Following then with the technical requirements that give the pathway towards the reference architecture model, describing operational agreements, and also bring some light into the field of legal agreements. So in the end, so what technology can't fix? So what kind of agreements, legal agreements do you need? And what is the legal umbrella that you have to share data in the end? So this is basically the idea of the rulebook. Also, the rulebook is provided as kind of open source, so it's provided under the Creative Commons license, and you will find the text via our homepage inside our knowledge base. So you can find the whole document and can scroll through it and read it. It is continuously maintained by our working group. So our working group rulebook, it was erected a couple of years ago, back in 2022. So we started this working group on Rulebook after understanding that, well, technology can't fix everything. We need this overarching structure to explain how the things fit together. Our working group rulebook typically meets on a monthly basis. So our members meet every first Tuesday of the month between 12:30 and 2. And we distinguish here a little bit between the working meetings, where we discuss and work together and develop things. And then once in a quarter, we have a meeting for approval. So this is one of the core aspects what our members do. They do not only write something, it is given to the approval of the working group so that all of our members can accept and support the decisions and the guidance that is given in our document. So this is our working group rulebook. And as described before, so following from the rulebook, which provides function requirements and describing more the context of data spaces, we have our reference architecture model. And our reference architecture model is more or less your guidance, your guide to data spaces. It is maintained by our second working group, the working group architecture, which meets typically on a quarterly basis, where we do some information knowledge transfer, and where we also do the approval of the things that have been worked together. So even while it's named a working group and a working group meeting, the work is not done in the working group meetings that are on a quarterly basis. It is for approval, for consent building. The work is done in between, where we conduct a lot of workshops, meetings in smaller groups and larger groups to prepare and create new paths. So the reference architecture model itself is really a practitioner-oriented guide for designing and implementing data space and architectures for data spaces. We have currently our 4th edition of the reference architecture model out there. Again, you will find it on our homepage in the knowledge base, the whole text of the document. And it's good if you're new to the topic of data spaces here to start from the first page and go to the end and then start again, honestly, because it really explains from the beginning to the end what a data space is, what the core technical aspects are, and what are the things that you have to consider and understand in the end. So it is really both an introduction to software architecture on the one hand side to explain you how you should build such systems that you need to connect to a data space, but it's also a handbook of well-established and best practice. And you will find this more or less also in the second chapter on the context of the reference architecture model, where we provide a good context to what are related technologies and concepts that you would have to understand. So in the end, what we have are those 5 layers where we describe, so what are the business aspects of a data space, what are the functional requirements towards a data space in more detail, what is information model behind it, so how can you provide something like a data product or data as a tradable asset in the end. What are the key processes that you have to implement, and how do the systems look like? What is your guidance to the systems? And then we have our cross-cutting perspectives on security and trust, how certification support this, and on governance. And this is both data governance, how you have to implement it as a participant in a data space, but also moving more forward to the direction, what is the governance of a data space as a whole. And this is what you will find in the document. And if you want to support and create the reference architecture model, feel free to join IDSA and our working groups, because at the moment we are in really important step in our history. We are moving towards reference architecture model 5. And this is an ongoing project and process, and my dear colleague Ilknur will provide you with the details on that. So Ilknur, do you want to share, or shall I skip your slides?
You can. Let's continue with yours. Thank you very much.
Good.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ilknur Chulani, and I'll give you some insights on this version 5 of the reference architecture model that Sebastian mentioned. So first of all, why do we need a new version? Well, there has been a lot of cool developments in IDSA and in the larger data spaces ecosystem in the last year. So we would like to make sure the IDS reference architecture model is very well aligned with all these. Secondly, we would like to make more room for decentralized and federated approaches in RAM. So this will have some impact on governance models and the trust framework, for instance. Thirdly, we want to make sure all different roles in a data space have sufficient architectural guidance. So not just how to participate in a data space, but also how to set up and govern one as a data space governance authority, or how to provide value-added services. Finally, we want to make sure this version is more modular, so people could read only the sections they need based on their role in a data space. Next one, please. So we provide a lot of support to our members while we co-create RAM. So we have already set up a GitHub repository, for instance, with all the necessary folder structure, template files, etc. issues. We have already created a project plan with some quarterly milestones and have set up a project Kanban board. We are setting up some workshops, very interesting discussions to support the paper writing or the content creation with our members. And we have already started working with some workshops and papers on the trust topic, for instance, observability and interoperability. And we have identified some other interesting areas to work on in the next weeks and months. So we could go to the next one, please. So I'll leave you with a teaser for the upcoming meetings and workshops of RAM5. In case you're a member and you want to join us, you want to check it out, or in case you're a member to become, hopefully, and you are curious what's going on. So we have 3 workshops planned for the end of the May. The business layer workshop will be a first one in this topic, where we will discuss the different roles and assets in a data space and their interactions. We also have our regular bi-weekly touch points on Mondays, next one on May 27. And also wanted to mention the working group architecture meeting for Q2. This will be on June 18, not just on RAM, but other IDSA or working group architecture assets as well. So please feel free to reach out to me or Sebastian if you want to know more about RAM5. Thank you very much.
So I think it's my turn again. Can you show the next slide, please? Then it's
Yes. Yes, I can.
Very good. So thank you very much for that well, short and comprehensive overview. So this is the core asset. So the IDSA rulebook and the IDSA reference architecture model. And please join us to make them really a global standard, and also to harmonize with all frameworks that are adhering to it on the different layers that we need to build data spaces, because data space building is an ecosystem game. Well, we want to give you deep insights in super good ecosystems. The Spanish ecosystem is incredibly innovative when it comes to the evolution of data spaces on different ends. So working on the fundamentals, ensuring trust via certification, but also coming up with up and running data spaces and convincing storylines why data spaces make a lot of sense from business rational perspective. So I'm happy to welcome 2, well, dear friends from the Basque Country in the north part of Spain, from the BAIDATA ecosystem. Have a look at that. Google it, please. Begona Laibarra from SQS and Tony Ventura from DataPixel. They are really at the forefront of data spaces. And therefore, I would ask you on stage and ask you to share your insights, your experiences, and well, first senses of reality on data spaces with our ecosystem. Begona, Tony, great to have you. Great to see you again, now online. And please, the stage is yours.
Okay, perfect. So, well, I will introduce the use case of invaluable metrology. So this was a development we made in, as you say, Lars, in Basque Country, with the support of BAIDATA. So BAIDATA is the let's say the association in Basque Country that is helping, let's say, companies in the territory and in Spain on the development of new projects in data spaces. And in invaluable metrology, well, we are group of companies. So the companies are DataPixel, Trimek, and Unimetric. And we are working in dimensional metrology, industrial dimensional metrology. We are based in Spain, in Basque Country, Barcelona, and Madrid. But we have offices around Europe and as well in Asia and America. So we are a global company. And our products are systems that are used for implementing quality control, dimensional quality control in manufacturing. So these systems are a combination of robotics and sensors that are capable of obtaining data from physical objects in order to analyze the dimensions of these objects and comparing these dimensions to the, let's say, designs and the models that the manufacturer are using as reference. So basically, this kind of equipment is used for quality control. And it's very important. We are using these equipments in different fields. One of the most important is automotive. This is one example of how we use our systems in manufacturing. So basically, this is the traditional, let's say, workflow, starting from the design of the components of a car, in this case, a car body. This design is including some characteristics that need to be, let's say, controlled during the manufacturing. These characteristics are normally positions and dimensions of the different geometrical elements of the component. And they are including as well some tolerances that we need to check in manufacturing in order to, let's say, to check that the product is manufactured according to these tolerances. So once we are translating the design to the manufacturing, it's very important to control these dimensions in the manufacturing process. And using the information, the data we are obtaining in the quality control process in order to improve both the manufacturing or improving as well the design. So this is an example. This is one of our systems that are used for quality control, in this case of a quite big part, the car body. And you can see that we have different components in our systems, and a very important component is the software. What we are really doing with our equipment is first some kind of transformation. We are transforming the physical objects in digital objects. In order to do that, we use different sensor technologies that can be optical and can be electromechanical. And the basic representation of a physical object as a digital, let's say, digital product is by generating what we call a 3D point cloud. So a 3D point cloud basically is the result of measuring different points in the space of the surface of the object and obtaining, let's say, this representation of the object as a digital component. Once we have the 3D point cloud, when we can proceed with the metrology analysis, so extracting data from the point cloud and extracting information. This information normally is positions, dimensions of the different parts of the manufactured component, and comparing this to the criteria that is fixed during the design. And we use all this data and this, let's say, information in order to implement product and process quality control. So we are using statistical tools in order to understand how good or how bad is the manufacturing process, or we need to make some tuning of this manufacturing process. The software that is let's say managing all this data is called M3. This is a software developed by our company, and this software basically is supported by 4 pillars. The first one is the software is providing the connectivity to the equipment and the connectivity to the data. We are also having this data-centric approach, and we are generating a lot of data. So this is the reason, because we are using data warehouse or data lakes and the concept of big data. We are using as well intelligent, smart methods in order to extract information from the data. And this let's say, cognitive part of the software is very close to the equipment. And finally, we are implementing, very important, the concept of digital twin. This is a core concept in Industry 4.0 and as well in Industry 5.0. That is one of the key factors of the implementation of data spaces in our M3 software. So when we are talking about digital twin, and this is, again, this is a core concept for us, we are basically focusing in three main kind of entities, but they are the humans, the machine, and the product. And each of these entities that is having a representation as a digital twin consists of different data. For example, in the case of the humans, the operators, or the workers in the company, the first thing we need to know is the identity and the profile of these persons. Second, we have the machine, the equipment that we are producing, the metrology equipment, what is having a configuration and some data that is obtained by monitoring. And we have the product that is, first of all, the result of a design, and this design is represented by what we call the model-based design and the product manufacturing information. But we have more data. We have as well data about licensing of licenses of our products related to the operators. We have, because we are talking about metrology, we have all the data related to the calibration of our equipment, and this is very important. And regarding the product, again, we have the virtualization of this product by using our sensors and our machines, and in these 3D point clouds that are representing the products in the digital domain. And additionally, we have data related to the different interactions between these digital twins. So the operator and the machine are interacting by using what we call the human-machine interface. And this human-machine interface is also configured specifically for the operator to perform a specific task. And this is generating as well, this is having some data that we need to share. We have as well the interaction between the machine and the product. And this interaction is what we call a metrology product. So a metrology project. Project is having data about how we are using the machine in order to control making the quality control of the product. And all the metrology data we are generating when measuring what the product is as well used by the human, by the operators, and used as well by the processes. So as a summary, we have knowledge and support that we are, let's say, providing to the operators. We have metrology, engineering, and simulation we are using in the digital twin domain, and we have the product and process quality control. So all this, let's say, all the data that is around this concept of digital twin in these different elements is what we want to share using data spaces. And in order to do that, what we need, obviously, is this concept of data space, and we need connectors of the different, let's say, software elements and the different equipment and machines and to this data space. And the development of all these, let's say, software components and connectivity components has been performed with the help of BAIDATA and software quality systems. What are these connectors providing to us? Well, we are providing the identity authorization certificates, data contracts and policies, data sharing management, and data sharing monitoring. All this is very important for us when we are sharing this data. And the project itself has been, as well, as was presented previously by you, was a project of development of different core components of data spaces. So core components that SQS was developing for us with, and that was a very, very, let's say, positive cooperative project. And well, basically you can see here the different components, the broker, the clearinghouse that is providing us this possibility of monitoring the transactions, the dApps in order to be sure that we are using the certification and authentication in order to generate trust, that and the digital certificates that are used for this. Okay, so well, these are some basic, let's say, screenshots of the different of the application that we developed, and as just to conclude, well, I would say that cognitive digital twins are very core elements of our actual digital products and services, and the data that is used in order to implement these cognitive digital twins is critical, and is where the data space is becoming so important. So the N3 data space is a key enabler for, let's say, invaluable methodology cognitive digital twins. This is a very important aspect. What we want to see in the future, well, we want to see integration of the different standards. We in metrology, we are using a very important standard for us. What is the ISO standard? What is the Quality Information Framework standard? What is, well, the standard we are using to represent data for dimensional metrology. Very important for us as well is what we call the digital calibration certificate, but basically is having all the data that is needed in order to represent the calibration data of the equipment. And obviously for, let's say, interoperability and integration of IoT, well, OPC-UA that is very known in the for industrial applications and need to be as well be considered in combination with data space. So that's it. So I hope that was clear for all of you. And if you have any questions, so I don't know if Begona is there now.
Hello.
Let's give it a try. Begona, we hear you. Great.
Oh, great. So it's my computer. Sorry. Okay. So no, but anyhow, sorry. Okay. One thing you have heard Tony and you have heard Sebastian. So the goal of BAIDATA is really to, I would say, make available, understandable, and accessible all the IDSA assets to the community of companies. Okay, and therefore to make data spaces happen, okay, as a means to develop the data economy. So that's the mission of BAIDATA. BAIDATA is not trying to generate new standards. BAIDATA is trying to foster the adoption of data spaces for the world, to make data business or business grow and create new data economy. That's the goal of BAIDATA. So I'm going to talk a little bit, sorry, okay, Lars, okay? So I'm going to share with you what is BAIDATA. 1 minute, okay?
Maybe you can, like, 5 to 7 minutes.
Okay, I will go very fast. Yes, I will go very fast, okay? So I will go very fast. So BAIDATA is really an association created in Spain in 2022 in Bilbao, okay, with the support of IDSA, with the support of invaluable Association, and with the support of 1 minute, okay? Can you see my screen? Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
Yeah.
now it's
Yes,
good.
Okay. So created in 2022 in Bilbao with the support of IDSA, invaluable Association, okay, in Spain, but very important, Gaia Cluster, which is a cluster of companies, of ICT companies in the Basque region, and with the local support of the Biscay, local government of Biscay, which is really, really important. Which was the goal? The goal is really to foster, I would say, to support companies in developing data spaces, and therefore to promote and accelerate the adoption of IDSA. How? Making all things available, basically that. So nowadays, I think it's very important for you to know that it's a private and public initiative. Private, local government of Biscay, private, all the members. Currently, in 2024, we have a total of 50 members. 50 members, which comprise large, small, medium-sized organizations, academia, and technical centers, technological centers. Multi-sectorial. We have companies from media, from electricity, from transportation. Important also, the combination. We have companies who are ready and who are already providing commercial services to the data spaces community, trading, consultancy, and we are providing infrastructures and tools. But also we have companies, mainly large organizations, who are willing to make business out of tools and infrastructure within the data space community. And last but not least, we have companies who are really convinced that data spaces can be very good for them to reduce costs and for digital transformation. I think that's a very good combination. Lars has mentioned last week we had BAIDATA Forum. It was really interesting to see and to learn about the first success experience in the Basque region. Okay, so vision, as you can imagine, position Spain and Portugal as a reference to accelerate the development of data spaces, but all that, as Lars has said and Sebastian has said, we are not silos. We have to work in an international environment. We are a global ecosystem. So we have to make visibility following. What are our pillars, okay? Because BAIDATA has developed an action plan. We'll see major services and you'll see some success figures. Okay, I want to share with you, okay? But what are the pillars for us? Innovation. We have to generate innovation. Innovation at product, technology, and process level and business models. We have to generate and disseminate knowledge. Not only knowledge, but we have to make talent out of that knowledge. And last but not least, we have to develop global ecosystems of trust where data can be shared to generate money, to generate business, to generate new business models. So those are the services we are offering to our community, okay, of members. Okay, so we are providing training courses to generate talent. We are providing technical support and access to infrastructures to make data spaces happen. There are lots of assets in the market. We have Gaia X, we have IDSA components, we have Katina X components, but in the end, it's not easy for companies to implement those technologies. We have to make them easy to use them in such a way that they can focus on the model, on the business model, which is really important. We are creating an observatory where single access points where company can go there and get all the documentation provided by the different initiatives, which are huge. We are creating ecosystems through pilots, which is important. You have seen Tony with M3, okay, but there are other pilots. You'll see a bit later. We are helping companies innovate and internationalize. So we are helping companies to participate in regional, national, and international initiatives at data space level. And we are working on dissemination, not only by Data Forum, but also we are working with IDSA in the radar and other things, okay? So maybe key points, okay? Success point, Lars, okay? Very fast, okay? In the area of internationalization and innovation, okay? BAIDATA and companies from BAIDATA are already participating in 2 key European initiatives for the deployment of common European data space, one in the area of media and audiovisual content, which is STEMS, and the other one in the area of manufacturing. Another success point, giving talent. In 2022, we created our training program, okay? Our training program is reviewed every 6 months, okay? It is composed of 8 training courses so far, I think, nowadays, at the moment. We have trained more than 400 professionals so far, okay? Then another key point has been the bonus. As said before, we wanted to make data spaces happen. How can we do that? Providing technology and providing technical support and providing finance. So we have created a program called Bonus, where we support financially and technically, and by providing infrastructures, we have, as said before, companies from BAIDATA have got already infrastructure, data space, integration test count, accredited laboratory, okay? And we have, what we do is companies who want to either develop a database or either develop technology can submit a project to BAIDATA. BAIDATA evaluates the project and propose support. These are the 10 projects financed last year. One of them is Trimek, but there are others. And as you can see, they're from different domains, skills, health, mobility. And these small pilots, okay, which I think the duration is from 3 months approximately, not more, because it has to be a winning aspect, okay, are the key to create ecosystem. And in case of BAIDATA, it's important also for you to know that ecosystems, we have identified 3 areas, okay, which are society, territory, and industry. Because what we want to do is not to create vertical data spaces, health, transportation. We want to create global ecosystems. And the only way to do that is if we really, I would say, cross-domain. We try to create cross-domain ecosystem for a purpose, okay? And this is where we are working, okay? And to do that, we have the pilots, as I said before, but we also have a lot of working groups as IDSA, okay, focused on trying to develop ecosystems around a sector, okay? So that's all from my side, okay? So if you want to cooperate with BAIDATA, please call us or ask any question. I don't know if I have been fast enough.
Well, that was super convincing, fast enough, very impressive. Thank you, Begona. Thank you, Tony. That was really inspirational, and I just can second what you said, Begona. Data spaces is really a holistic endeavor. So we need all players on board, and we also need to upskill the whole ecosystem. So we have the public players, the government, we have the people in the companies, we have the different sectors, and well, data spaces really make sense if we combine a lot of data sets between formerly unknown, untrusted participants and probably best cross-sectoral. And this is the mindset that we are following in IDSA in our ecosystem for data spaces, and that is where we can really create value. Thank you for that inspirational presentations, Tony, Begona. Thank you very much. Great. And well, all of you. So this was the input part of the ecosystem building call, and usually we follow that up with a Q&A session and a discussion, and well, if we find time, updates and upcoming events. So therefore, as we are running short in time, as always, are there some questions? So sometimes we have more input, less discussion on Mondays. Sometimes we have more discussion or more room for discussion. So please raise your hand if you have like a question. The good thing is we will record all Monday morning calls. We will share the slides. We will also craft minutes and provide you with that. So therefore, you can also like take your time in the evenings, on the weekends, to really follow up that inspiration and have deeper insights. So be brave. Some questions. Also, make use of the chat functionality. So the chat stays. We can also, when we all have left the meeting, answer your questions. So please feel free to hammer everything into the chat that you want to share or that you want to ask. That is what an ecosystem building call is meant for. So I know, so this is a huge group of people, and I'm really thankful for having you all. So no icebreaker today. That's fine enough. So I have some more news to share. So therefore, it's fine. You can also find all important links in the chat, and well, then afterwards, subsequently in the minutes and elsewhere. All right. So I will continue, and if you come across a question, raise your hand, put it in the chat. We are here to help you. So, but you can also meet us in person. This is still the best thing to do. There are a lot of events upcoming very soon, where you can meet some of IDSA head office squad in person, but also a lot of our members, where we have a gathering where we can exchange thoughts. So there's the IONA X European Data Summit. So the great endeavor, well, that has started in France, but is already becoming a European thing in mobility and tourism. They have their summit in Paris, May 21st. Then we will be in parallel in Barcelona on the IoT Solutions World Congress. So with a great testbed with some of our members, where we see how sensors, drones, robots interact with data spaces. So we will be there on site, and also some of our friends from the data space world will be there. So join us in Barcelona, or the week after on the Network Summit. Well, actually 1 week later. A great thing is the Belgian Data Space Day. So these are all great things. Huh? So Agoria and IMEC, they are running the IDSA hub in Belgium, and also the Gaia X hub in Belgium. And from the very beginning, they have come up with a joint governance structure. This is a super good, witness of collaboration. Brussels, May 27th, so next week, on practical aspects on data spaces. We are the International Data Spaces Association, so we are also collaborating with the Japanese Digital Trust Forum and a lot of players there on the field of trust. So the CSC Tokyo Summit will happen next week. We will not be there in person, but on stage virtually. And we also reach out to Portugal to set up the IDSA Competence Center in Portugal. The big thing is we believe in ecosystems. We believe in value being built on local and regional level. So therefore, we are reaching out with hubs, but also with competence centers in the different countries and regions all over the world. So we already have plenty of them, and the next one in line will be Portugal. Online sessions are also a nice thing if you want to stay close to your coffee machine. The BIBCom webinar in German happens tomorrow. Then we have our regular tech talk on the Rulebook on Thursday, I think it's then. And as mentioned, we are reaching out to all over the world. In Brazil, we will have the first webinar from our friends and hub facilitators in Brazil. So to step into the data space activities in Brazil. So this is really important because a lot is happening. Have a look at the Brazil data strategy. This is really close to the big understanding, and we should have them really close on our radar. If you want to learn more, and if you got intrigued, share with your colleagues the online session on May 21st for the Q&A session. That is where we will share really basic knowledge, have a long time to have Q&A. So I think it's 1.5 hours, and you really have a lot of time to ask. And then super good and important project, Prometheus X, on skills and how to share individual profiles in an education and skill and job-related ecosystem. So this happens on May 29th. Tech talk, long session, how they integrated the connector and the data space protocol in their French ecosystem, which is currently becoming a bigger one. So our open month continues, May 27th. Focus on the data space protocol and a deep insight in BootX from Huawei, which is their offering in the field of data spaces, making use of the EDC framework, the data space protocol, and they have a super impressive use case together with Tecnalia in Spain. Have a look at that, May 27th. So next week is Pentecost, and we will not be online. And then June 3rd, how we implement the IDSA assets, how this is done. And then we have a look at Japan. Great ecosystem over there, a lot of friends, a lot of activities, and strong players are the telecommunication providers. And you can witness that on June 3rd. Julia, did I miss anything important?
Hello, everyone. No, Lars, that's perfectly, so you already mentioned everything. I would like to add a piece of information that is a bit ahead, but it's good to keep an eye on that. In July, especially, so specifically on July 1st, we will have a deep dive on the Trimek case. I've already posted it in the chat. So for all of you that will continue staying with us, also after the open months, we've already planned a demo of the Trimek case that was presented today by Tony. So keep an eye on that.
Thank you very much for reminding me. And well, a lot of great insights. So therefore, IDSA is a great place to bring data spaces to life, to talk about the fundamentals. So join us as members and contributors in IDSA. Invest in the future. So we need that to make all the promises of data economy and AI happen. And well, if you want to wrap all of that up, have a look at our big strategy. We have a holistic approach to bring data spaces to global scale. So data space is not a solo game, it's an ecosystem game. We are aligning since years architectures and thought leadership on data spaces with organizations that are close to us, like GaiaX, BDVA, Fireware, iShare Foundation, My Data Global. We are part of the Data Spaces Support Center in Europe. We are close with the Data Society Alliance in Japan, with a lot of organizations in China. We will have a look at that in one of the next webinars. We believe in open source. We try to give visibility to everything what is happening on the market, so we are neutral. We give this overview on connectors, but also on data spaces happening on the data space radar. And it's our joint ambition to bring core elements like the Rulebook and the data space protocol to global standards. If you love that, if you want to contribute, if you want to, well, stay tuned. Join us. IDSA is really a great place. Looking forward to see you again in one of the next open month ecosystem calls, and hopefully soon as members, or if you're already a member, as helping hands in our activities. So it's a great thing. Let's see us in 2 weeks. Great for having you. Have a great start in the week. Take care. And well, let's build data spaces. It's a great thing. Goodbye.